everybody. We're back with another Stubby episode. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their holidays with their family and friends, and now we're back at it, hard working underneath your hood, burning wire, rod, whatever it is that you end up burning. For this week's Stubby episode, Jody Collier's taking the question about work ethics, and what does it mean? We hope you like this Stubby episode, and if you're new into the trade, hopefully you'll be able to take away a couple good tips that'll help you in your career. And we'd like to thank CK Worldwide for sponsoring this Stubby episode. They are the standard in TIG welding. Be sure to check out ckworldwide.com to see all their great TIG welding products. With all that said, let's get on to this week's Stubby.
What does it mean to have a good work ethic? This question came in, and I've been thinking about it a good bit because I think there's a whole lot more to having a good work ethic than just being a hard worker. If you look it up on Wikipedia, it says that it's a belief that hard work and diligence have a moral benefit. And I think that's true, but it's sort of a vague question. It's like asking, what does it mean to be a good person? I've worked around a lot of different kinds of people. I've worked around guys with really strong work ethics that were really hard workers and got a lot done, but no one wanted to work with them. They just weren't fun to be around. They weren't enjoyable. They were sort of selfish. They were doing it basically for the recognition. And then I've also worked around some people that didn't even look like they were working hard, but they got a whole lot done just because they were very efficient and they planned their work really well. So some people might be looking at them from a distance and thinking they weren't working hard at all. But a 5-year-old working on a tractor with a hammer looks like he's getting a lot done from 200 yards away. So I think you can boil it down to basically being the kind of worker that you would want to have if you were the owner of the company. And that means a lot of different things. So I'm going to throw out some bullet points here in no particular order and just sort of talk about them a little bit. Number one on the list, being honest. That's sort of like the fundamental thing. You need an honest employee. It's just a good general principle in life, just to be honest. Show up on time and don't leave early. That's pretty obvious stuff, but some people are chronically late to everything, and maybe it's not a big deal being late to a party or something like that, but an employer has to plan work. And usually you're working with somebody, and somebody's going to be waiting on you if you're late. If you're chronically late, it's a problem for the employer. No one wants you to leave early either, just as a matter of principle. People notice that stuff. Unless you have permission. Boss says knock off early, obviously knock off early. Being a safe worker. You're going to cost the company a lot of money if you're unsafe, and you might actually hurt somebody really bad too. So that's part of work ethic. Putting in an honest day's work, that means more than being a hard worker. It means, again, being efficient, managing your time and your work well, being fully engaged in the work. That's a super important thing. And in order to be engaged, you've got to be interested in what you're doing. If you're totally uninterested in the job you have, it's going to show up. You're not going to be able to bring your A game every day to work. You're not going to be wanting to learn new skills. You're not going to be wanting to continually improve your skills. And all these things are something that an employer wants to see, all part of having a good work ethic. And what about quantity of work versus the quality of the work? You've got to have some of each. You definitely want to bring quality work. You definitely want to produce quality work. But you've also got to produce an adequate amount of quantity, or the company's not going to make any money. And there are also those times when the company is going to want you to not produce the kind of quality that you want to produce, and sometimes you have to just stick to your guns and say, I'm not doing that. That's unsafe. That's going to produce a crappy product. I'm not putting my name on that. Sometimes you got to stick up for yourself like that. But largely, I think us welders want to do a good job. We want to put quality into the work. But again, you've got to produce an adequate amount of quantity, and that all ties into managing your work, planning your work. Sometimes being productive means being more efficient. Doesn't mean working harder. Best example I can think of off the top of my head is I did a collaboration video with Roy where he had a whole bunch of aluminum parts to do, and they all required preheating. Well, instead of stopping and preheating and then welding every part, preheating a part, welding a part, he set one on a hot plate while he was welding the other one, and each time he would finish with one part, the other part was up to temp. That's smart. That's planning your work. That's being efficient. That's part of having a good work ethic. I think being a good team player is also part of it. Yeah, that just means being considerate of everybody. That might just mean not grinding over top of somebody and throwing sparks on them, but it could also mean sharing information, helping your coworker out if he's struggling with something. Largely, being a good team player just means treating your coworkers like you would want them to treat you. Being a self-starter is also part of having a good work ethic, and you'll see this wording on a lot of job postings on the internet. It just means you start yourself. It should be self-explanatory, the whole word self-starter, but it means you don't have to sit around and wait for the boss to tell you something when you should know it yourself. You should just start. You should just do it if you know what needs to be done. I know we've all heard this saying before, but be part of the solution and not the problem. That largely means carrying a positive attitude. Don't be the guy who's always complaining. There's always something to complain about. But just keep a positive attitude and always try to improve things. This can be really difficult if you just work for a crappy outfit. If you work for some place where they don't care about quality and they're just cracking the whip, they don't care about safety, maybe it's just time to be looking for something else. But still, always try to have a positive attitude. Let me wrap this up by saying be respectful, and don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about being a butt kisser. When you have a complaint, a legitimate complaint about an unsafe practice or about no quality at the place you work or the place is just screwed up, you still need to bring the complaint in a respectful manner. And that can be pretty hard because a lot of times the person you're talking to is part of the problem. You know, they're in authority and the decisions they've made and continue to make are part of the problem that you're complaining about. Still be respectful and things will go a lot better for you. That can just mean something like prefacing your complaint with, hey, with all due respect, I really got to voice my opinion right here. Or I respect your position here, but if I were in your position, I would want to hear what I've got to say. And one more thing. Good hard work, especially if it's smart hard work, rarely goes unrewarded for very long. So work hard, work smart, set yourself apart from the rest of the crowd. Good luck.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully you're able to pick up a few good tips if you're new into this industry. You might want to stop right now and listen to that one again, take some notes, and really just remember there's a lot more to just working hard all the time. You really got to make good parts, you got to do everything right, and like Jody said, it won't go unnoticed. So hopefully you enjoyed this one, and we want to take a moment again and thank CK Worldwide for sponsoring this Stubby episode. Be sure to check out ckworldwide.com for all their great TIG torches, and remember, they are the standard when it comes to TIG welding. Until next week, have a great one.